Coming up on Arirang News, South Korea is battling a third wave of COVID-19. New case numbers above 500, a level not seen in about 8 months, and the clusters are spread throughout the country. The South Korean military is requiring all its personnel to stay on base to keep an outbreak among soldiers from spreading outside. And in the Seoul area, the subway will run less frequently at night and end its services earlier. And President Moon Jaein holds the first strategic meeting on his administration's goal of making South Korea carbon neutral by 2050. He says he'll build the foundation for that goal before he leaves office. It's 5 p.m. here in Seoul. Thanks for tuning in to Arirang News. I'm Devin Whiting. South Korea has reported more than 500 new cases of COVID-19 for a second day in a row. These figures are at a level not seen since March in the first wave of the virus. Officials say South Korea is at a critical point in its fight against the pandemic. Kim Do-yeon reports.
South Korea reported 569 new cases on Friday, staying above the 500 mark for the second day straight, with cluster infections at religious facilities, saunas, and small gatherings. Of the new cases, 525 were locally transmitted. The capital region accounted for 337 of the local transmissions, and the rest were scattered all around the nation. Prime Minister Chung Se-kyun said on Friday that we're at a crossroads in the fight against the virus.
This is the highest number since last March, which was 8 months ago. Now the signs of a full-fledged resurgence are appearing. If we don't stop the spread now, experts' concerns about daily cases reaching 1,000 could become a reality.
He also pleaded for people to actively participate in social distancing over the weekend. While the capital region enters the weekend with a heightened social distancing level of 2, the country's standard for upping the distancing level to 2.5 is 400 to 500 daily cases. Right now, the country's average of new cases from the past week is 383. With more COVID-19 cases, there's also a rise in the number of patients in critical condition. The Prime Minister requested that the responsible parties make sure that medical infrastructure remains available.
We have some room to accommodate critically ill patients at the moment, but because Gangwon-do Province, Jeollado Provinces, and Gyeongsangbuk-do Province have a small number of hospital beds, if the number of cases spikes, we could run out of beds.
Currently, there are 77 patients deemed critically ill as of Friday. One more death was reported, putting the death toll at 516. Kim Do-yeon, Arirang News.
Dozens of cases have been reported in the South Korean military, which has raised its distancing measures one notch higher than Seoul. Service members are banned from taking leave from their bases for the next 2 weeks. Kim Ji-yeon has this report.
The South Korean military has started enforcing tighter social distancing measures, banning all low-ranking officials and cadets from taking vacations or off-site trips. The measures will last from Friday until December 7th. This is the fourth time this year that the military has enforced such a ban due to the coronavirus outbreak. This current ban was sparked by sporadic cluster infections, including clusters involving newly enlisted soldiers in Yeoncheon and an army unit in Cheolwon this week. Up until now, cadets stationed in regions with social distancing levels of 1.5 or lower were allowed to take vacations and one-day trips to safe areas where there have been no confirmed COVID-19 cases in a week. Vacations for senior military personnel, though, have been restricted since Tuesday. The military's level 2.5 social distancing measures mean service members can't have private meetings or gatherings during off-duty hours. In-person religious gatherings and business trips are also banned. As for drills, necessary outdoor training will be conducted in a way to minimize contact with civilians, while indoor training programs are to be limited. Also, bringing in private guest instructors for various educational programs will be banned during this period. Seoul's Defense Ministry warned of heavy penalties for those who violate these restrictions and are found responsible for spreading the virus. Since the start of the outbreak, the military has seen a total of 347 cases, of which 167 are still in treatment, according to an official tally released on Friday. Kim Ji-yeon, Arirang News.
Starting today, some subway lines in the Seoul area will be running trains less frequently, with the aim of encouraging people to stay home. This affects lines 1 and 4, the Gyeonggi-Jungang line and the Gyeongchun line. Trains will have to be at their final stations by 12:30 a.m., which means their last run will be a little earlier. Already, the subway system is running at reduced capacity after 10. President Trump says COVID-19 vaccines in the U.S. will start to be delivered next week and the week after. He was speaking to troops on a video link Thursday for Thanksgiving, saying that the first to get the vaccine would be frontline workers, medical personnel, and senior citizens. AstraZeneca appears to be planning an extra global trial for its COVID-19 vaccine to clear up uncertainty about the positive results of its current study. The company's CEO said Thursday that AstraZeneca wants the extra study to confirm the 90% efficacy rate that was shown in a portion of an existing trial. An additional trial is not expected to hold up approvals in the UK or the EU. Questions have been mounting after the company and its partner, Oxford University, acknowledged that their trial results might have been affected by an error. President Moon Jaein has held his first strategic meeting with related ministers on his plans to make South Korea carbon neutral by 2050. He said he'll establish the foundation for that goal before his term is up. Our Hong Yu has more.
President Moon Jae-in is establishing a committee involving both the private sector and the government to focus on creating a carbon-neutral country by 2050. He will also appoint a vice minister for energy under the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Energy. Some of the challenges in the push toward a carbon-neutral country include the manufacturing sector containing many large emitters of carbon and the country's reliance on thermal power plants. But President Moon said during a pan-government strategic meeting on Friday that the country's digital competitiveness could help speed up the process of becoming carbon neutral.
화석연료에서 신재생 에너지로 에너지 주 공급원을 전환하고 전력망 확충과 지역 중심의 분산형 전원 체계를 확산할 것이며 재생에너지, 수소, 에너지 IT 등 3대 에너지 신산업 육성에 주력할 것입니다.
He emphasized that technology is the key to achieving the zero carbon goal and added that research and development must focus on developing innovative technology. In particular, future automobiles will be nurtured as the leading business for becoming carbon neutral. The president's plan include manufacturing and supplying more electric and hydrogen cars and also making more charging stations for these vehicles. Another important task for South Korea is to strengthen global leadership on climate change. It will do so by enhancing global cooperation through hosting the P4G summit in Seoul next year, actively promoting cooperative projects with the EU on carbon neutralization, and cooperating on climate change policy with the new Biden administration. President Moon added that he will lay out a roadmap to carbon neutrality without leaving it up to the next government. Hong Yu, Arirang News.
Time now for an in-depth look at the market news this afternoon, and for that I'm joined on the line by Mr. Daniel Yu, Global Strategist at Yuanta Securities. Mr. Yu, thank you for making time on this Friday.
Thank you for having me.
Well, the U.S. stock markets are closed, of course, for Thanksgiving. European stocks are mostly down on a Thursday, though not by much. In Asia, kind of a mixed bag today. What's the story in the global markets?
Right. If you look at the general market as a whole, in the past 1 month or so, most of the market rose quite sharply, and most of indexes were showing the record high level of And I think that now it needs some time to take some breather because you are seeing some of the economic numbers coming through, and that it is showing somewhat of a moderate decline because of the COVID-19 cases. Clearly, the COVID-19 cases are rising rapidly, and that is affecting the general consumption figures for most of the countries. And also, the consumer confidence index are going down in general. So because of that, people are worried that the economic slowdown will be coming to the scale that might affect the corporate earnings. However, though, because everybody knows that the vaccine is available and that it will come through in spring of next year, And if that's the case, then most of the economic recovery will come through sometime in the second quarter of next year. Because of that expectation, we don't think that the market's going to take a dive because of the concern in the domestic consumption figures or the double dip concerns. All in all, we are seeing continuation of rapid increase in the monetary policy M1 and M2 growth rate. We are seeing in all the countries, including U.S. and Europe. And ECB recently just met, and they are talking about additional boosting measure for the economic recovery. So there's a kind of mixed bag of information coming through. Nevertheless, it might take a little bit more time for the market to go up again. For the time being, it just needs to take some breather.
Well, in Korea, the Kospi was up and down today, but ended at a new all-time high. What happened in the local markets?
Right, as you said, Korean market seems to be actually doing better than generally relative to any other countries. Today, Kosdaq was up more than 1.2%, and Kospi was up close to 0.3%, and continue to break the new record of the Kospi right now. And if you look at the vaccine and the COVID-19 cases, I think that SK Group, as well as some of the major group of Korea, will be trying to replicate the vaccines in quite quickly. But at this point in time, some people are saying that the additional new COVID-19 cases might hit 1,000 per day pretty soon. Right now, we are seeing well above 500 cases, close to 600 cases continue to happen in the last few days. And that is actually quite a bit of a concern for the domestic economy. However, because of the valuation seems to be quite cheap still, and also Korea is highly linked to the global economic recovery, and most of the people are expecting that economic recovery will come through in the second quarter of next year. If that's the case, then Korea will benefit the most, and therefore market might be taking somewhat of a breather along with the global market in the near future. But if you look into the next year of 2021, Korea has ample room to go up another two-digit growth rate in terms of the equity market, both Kospi as well as Kosdaq.
And oil prices also on a rally this month. West Texas on the NYMEX for January delivery continues to rise. Tell us about oil and also what's happening with gold.
Yes, as you said, oil prices continue to show rise, and it did hit over $45 WTI basis, and also Brent crude did go up as high as $48 per barrel. The reason for these rises is because, as I said, the global economy is expecting some kind of economic recovery coming through soon. And if that's the case, the demand for the oil might be rising, and therefore the oil seems to be moving on back of the demand pickup going through. However, on a relatively longer basis, oil demand versus supply-wise, we think that still the downward trend continues, and therefore in terms of the oil price band, in the past it might be somewhere between $50 to $70 band. Now it's probably down to $30 to $50 band. So right now it's already hit $45 into WTI. It might go up a little bit more, but I think that once it hits close to $50, there will not be too much further room for the growth. As for the gold price, it has shown quite significant drop in the last several months from its peak by around 12%, and it is trading around $1,800 per ounce. And I think that that's quite a bit of a support level in the bottom. If you look into the longer-term basis of next several years, we think that the fiscal balance sheet will deteriorate for most of the countries, and therefore there will be some concern about the fiscal budget or fiscal conditions, and therefore the currency-wise, because a huge amount of liquidity injected, the value of currency will go down, and therefore the value of gold, silver, and bitcoins will probably all go up further. So for the time being, it is showing some correction because it's shown a very strong rally in the last 2 years or so. But the last 3 months or so, it is showing corrections. It might last a little bit longer. However, though, as long as the continuation of liquidity injection happens and that inflation numbers start to kick in, then gold price will go up in the future in a longer-term basis.
Got it. All right, Mr. Yu, we'll have to leave it there for today. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you very much.
South Korea has begun construction of an airport on the small eastern island of Ulleung-do, a popular tourist destination in the middle of the East Sea. When it opens, people will be able to get there from Seoul in just 1 hour instead of a 7-hour journey by train and ferry. The groundbreaking ceremony was held on Friday. The government's investing more than $600 million in the project, aiming to finish it by 2025. The airport will be able to handle smaller planes carrying up to 50 people. Ulleung County says it expects it'll improve the lives of Ulleung-do residents and increase the number of visitors from the current 30,000 or 40,000 a year to around 1 million. The city of Seoul and the capital of Mongolia, Ulaanbaatar, are going to hold a cultural festival online next Monday to commemorate the 25th anniversary of their becoming sister cities. Celebrities and influencers from South Korea and Mongolia will promote their respective capitals in a virtual concert called On Connect, Seoul and Ulaanbaatar. Mongolian singer Kan Togo will perform at the opening ceremony, while the popular South Korean actress Kim Soo-mi will cook bulgogi on a live food program. The festival will be held on November 30th at 2 p.m. Korea time, and will be streamed live via Seoul's official's YouTube channel. And that does it for this newscast. Thank you for watching.